This is a special episode. In honor of Veterans Day, we're bringing you a terrifying tale of mystery, horror, and heroism from the Civil War era. So hold on tight. In the shadowy hills of Gettysburg, Pennsylvania, nestled among massive boulders and twisted trees, lies a place known as Devil's Den. Today, we dive deep into one of the most disturbing unsolved disappearances from the American Civil War. The story of two Union soldiers who walked into Devil's Den and were never seen again. Our story begins in July of 1863. During the height of the bloody Battle of Gettysburg, Devil's Den was a strategic ridge. Soldiers on both sides took shelter here, turning the area into a deadly maze of blood, smoke, and shattered limbs. On July 3rd, Private Elijah Marsh, their mission: uncover Confederate positions hidden among the rocks. Armed with a lantern to pierce the gloom, it was a suicide mission. See, Devil's Den wasn't just a dangerous battlefield. Stories told of ghostly soldiers wandering the rocks, and anyone who stayed too long would be driven mad. But these boys weren't scared of ghosts. They were scared of real people. Specifically, Confederate snipers hiding in the rocks. And if the boys could bring back info on their position, the army could dislodge them and take back the high ground. The men who stood in the way were known as the Stonewall Brigade, led by Confederate Colonel John R. Iron Bob Rhodes. They were elite marksmen, and Devil's Den was their hunting ground. With each step, Elijah and Daniel risked getting picked off. But so far, the ghosts seemed friendly, guiding the two men deeper into the den. Then suddenly, a scream split the night. It was Corporal Crowley, and it chilled the very marrow in Elijah's bones. He found Daniel standing over a rock, pointing his lantern toward a shadowy crevice between boulders. Inside, he could make out the shape of a wounded man, then more shapes. Confederate soldiers. Daniel wanted to alert the others. He knew what would happen. Snipers would be waiting for them in the dark. The only chance they had. He wanted to help the injured soldier. And that was when Elijah saw the ghostly figures emerge from the darkness. He watched, dumbfounded, as the spirits of fallen soldiers materialized and marched toward the wounded man. They carried him out of the den, and then they vanished. Daniel felt a chill crawled up his spine. Then he realized, if they were real, this must be a safe haven. Maybe they could even warn the troops about the snipers. But the silence of Devil's Den was broken by a sudden crack of a rifle. One of the ghosts had been hit. He crumpled to the ground and dissolved into mist. Elijah and Daniel panicked. They ran. Then Daniel screamed. He fell and his ankle twisted beneath him. He lay there in agony, his face pale as death. Elijah tried to help, but it was no use. Daniel couldn't move. Then Elijah did the only thing he could. He put his arm around his friend's shoulder and helped him up. Together, they struggled onward. Elijah stumbled, nearly losing his footing. But Daniel was determined to get out alive. He leaned heavily on Elijah. By now, the ghost soldiers had gathered. They formed a circle around them, their faces grim, their eyes burning with an eerie light. Elijah could feel their icy touch on his skin, hear their mournful whispers in his ear. He closed his eyes, bracing for the end. When he opened them again, he found himself alone. Heart pounding, All around him, the ghosts of Devil's Den seemed to mock his fear with their silent stares. He ran back to the spot where Daniel had fallen, hoping against hope to find him there. But the area was deserted. There was no sign of Daniel anywhere, and as the first rays of sunlight touched the jagged peaks of Devil's Den, Elijah stumbled out of the boulder field, shaken and alone, carrying only the lantern and map. He had no answers. The army found him wandering near the front lines, babbling incoherently about ghosts and a missing friend. Though they searched Devil's Den, they found no trace of Daniel. No body, not even a rifle, only a shattered compass, a burned-out lantern, and something far more chilling. A single boot, still warm, as if someone had just taken it off. Soldiers searching the area reported a foul stench in the air, the kind that didn't smell like death. Did Daniel fall victim to Confederate snipers? Was he taken captive, or did he vanish into the eerie embrace of Devil's Den? After the war, people reported strange noises at night, moaning, whispers. Campers claimed to hear marching footsteps circling their tents, only to find no one there. But it wasn't until the 20th century that the sightings became truly disturbing. Tourists began visiting Gettysburg in droves. Many took photos at Devil's Den. One woman from Ohio snapped a photo of her son near the boulders, but when she developed the film, she found an extra figure standing behind him, a man in a Union uniform, as if his features were sliding off. Another incident occurred in 1975, when a professional photographer set up his tripod near the exact spot where the two scouts had disappeared. As he framed his shot, he noticed two men standing behind the rocks. He called out, assuming they were reenactors. The other raised a blood-stained map. Then they vanished. Rangers and staff at Gettysburg Park have their own stories. One reported seeing muddy boot prints appear on dry rock, going in circles. Another ranger, who quit after just 3 weeks on the job, swore he heard someone shouting, "Hold the line," in the middle of the night. Paranormal investigators have since made Devil's Den a frequent target. Many report extreme EMF spikes, even though the area has no power lines or electronics. Recordings picked up psychics who visited the site. One medium said she saw Elijah and Daniel, confused and screaming, trapped in a time loop, reliving their last terrifying moments. There's even a story about a Boy Scout troop who camped near Devil's Den in the 90s. That night, they heard two men talking in hushed tones. The troop leader approached the sound, thinking it was strangers. What he saw turned his blood cold to pale figures sitting against a rock, one bleeding from the neck, the other trying to bandage him. When he called out, they both turned and faded into smoke. So what really happened to Elijah and Daniel? Some say they were captured by Confederate soldiers and executed in secret, but no bodies were ever found. Others believe they fell into a hidden cave or crack between the rocks, trapped forever. But if that's true, why are they still being seen, more than 150 years later? Could it be they died in such terror, their souls never moved on? Or maybe Devil's Den isn't just haunted, a place where time folds, and those who die in fear remain in fear forever. In 2001, He wandered off the path and climbed onto the rocks of Devil's Den. Suddenly, he saw two men standing a few yards away. One was pointing toward the trees, the other was whispering something. Jack took a photo. When he looked at his phone, the screen glitched. The two men weren't just standing there, they were staring directly at him. The other had Jack's face. When he picked it up, the image was gone. They say he never spoke again. So next time you visit Gettysburg and you feel like someone's watching you from the rocks, because some ghosts don't just haunt a place, they choose someone new to join them. Thank you all for listening. Which historical haunting scares you the most? Let us know in the comments, and be sure to subscribe to our channel for more terrifying tales.